This podcast represents the opinions of the hosts of the Laugh Cry Club and guests on the show. The content here should not be taken as medical advice and is for informational purposes only. And because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions. While we make every effort to ensure that the information we share is accurate, we welcome any comments, suggestions, or correction of errors. Welcome back, everybody, to the Laugh Cry Club. I'm Joy.
I'm Rebecca.
I'm Chelsea, and if you're an imperfect human who laughs and cries, then this podcast is for you.
Welcome, and happy holidays. We are smack dab in the middle of December. Hopefully your 2025 has been a joyful, complicated, and yet growth ride? ? We all are here to learn about emotions. We're 3 licensed therapists with over 20 years of experience. So we created this podcast over a year ago to talk about all the knowledge that we have, share it with you, kind of like a little mini therapy session in your pocket, in your podcast pocket. We start every episode with a laugh and a cry, and then we're going to talk about change. We talk about a specific topic every episode to hopefully give you something to take away and improve your life. Who is going first? Chelsea.
This morning, Joy and I are matching twins in pink, which is
It
so
is a pink
cute.
day. It's a
It
pink
is.
day.
And it's not like a regular pink, right? We're kind of mauvey, soft pink.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, I feel like I need to know everything of how you're doing and where you're at and your laughs and your cries.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's a sign.
I think it is.
Here we go. Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, you're the pinky glee too. You got the pink headband. You have a pink sweater on, or I don't know if it's a sweatshirt. I can't tell, but it's very cute. It's a great pink top. We both have the pink tops on. Oh, and you have a heart on yours, of course.
you have a
because
heart
you're
on
so
your sleeve. I
cute.
love it.
You have
It's
a
a
heart
little
on your
embroidered
sleeve.
rando heart.
Of course. I feel like everything you own has a cute little embroidered heart somewhere.
Look at
you
this one.
You had an amazing jacket. Oh, that's cute. She has one on her
Oh.
chest too, and it
It has
says
its
Chelsea.
name.
Or it's a C for Chelsea.
With a little heart.
I need to link to that jacket you got in where were you recently? Was it New Orleans?
It was that
Chicago.
Atlanta jacket,
Atlanta.
the hearts.
Where'd you get that jacket? Did you get it at like a boutique somewhere? Where'd you get it?
Steve got it for me for Christmas a few years ago.
Oh.
Maybe 5 years ago.
Okay, so you've had it for a while. Oh,
I've had it.
It's adorable. Okay, my laugh and cry this week is, let's see. I'll start with my cry. I was in Arizona this week supporting my friend. I know I mentioned this, that we talked about Kenny, and Kenny passed away a couple weeks ago, right around Thanksgiving. And I went to see my family there, stay with my best friend who lost her dad. And I knew it was going to be hard, but I also knew that we were going to laugh a lot because that's just what you do with your really, really close, like, family friends. You're just always crying and laughing and crying and laughing. And literally, I thought of us so much because so many of those moments happened where, like, for instance, I'll tell 2 stories. I'll tell 3 stories, actually. They're short. But we went to Sprouts when I got there. Sprouts is like a grocery store to get some groceries. And we were walking in the store and she just started crying. And she was like, the last time it's just like that. He's just passed away. She's like, the last time I was here, we were walking in the store together because she was his caretaker. She took care of everything. She drove him everywhere. They went to Sprouts to get his food. She drove him just to Sprouts to get out of the house because he couldn't leave the house much. So she started crying. She's like, oh, I always used to take him here. So she started crying. And so, it's just like those moments where I'm like, yep, this is going to happen. Yep, I got you. And then we get in the car. I get in the car in the passenger seat and she gets in the driver's seat and she's crying again. And I look at her and I was like, oh, no. I'm like, rubbing her back like, oh, what happened? Like, what memory just came up? And she's like, I just always used to, when he got in the car, used to like make sure he was okay. Like he wasn't going to like fall out of the car, so like all these just like muscle memory things are coming up for her. And then I start crying because I'm like sad, and I'm sad for her, and I'm sad for like the whole situation. And then she looks at me, she's like, are you okay? And I was like, yes, can you please console me about your dad dying? We just started cracking up, and she was just like, yeah, seriously, like this is just how it's going to be right now. But the other thing was we also passed by the dumpster because they literally live their house butts up against Sprouts. So literally 30 seconds to get from Sprouts to their house. So like their backyard butts up against like the big shopping market, whatever. So there are all these dumpsters back there. We take like, you know how you can take routes to go like behind the store? That's how we drive to get back to her house. And so we were passing all these dumpsters and I just started laughing like, are these the dumpsters that Kenny wanted to be thrown into? So we're just laughing about that. But the cutest cry was she texted me right after I got home. She was in her backyard. It's Arizona. You can sit outside year round pretty much. She was in her backyard, just kind of like enjoying a quiet moment. And she reflects a lot in her backyard. And she had just finished breakfast and she looked up and there were these 2 mourning doves. And if you've never heard mourning doves, you can Google the sound. It's a beautiful sound and it always reminds me of home because growing up in Arizona, they're around all the time. Like when you wake up, you just hear that sound. It's like this beautiful, like, woohoo. It almost sounds like an owl. So whenever she Marco Polos me, because we Marco Polo almost every day, I hear that sound in the background all the time and I can hear all the Arizona birds and it just like warms my heart. Anyways, she sends me this photo of these 2 mourning doves and I kid you not, they're sitting on the top of her brick fence, almost like a photograph where you see like 2 birds together, almost like forming a heart where they're chest to chest. And they're just like sitting really close together. And her mom passed away 7 years ago. So she's always talking about like how much her dad really missed her mom and wanted to be back with her mom. That photo, I was just like, holy shit. Like I could believe, but I couldn't believe. It's like the sign of, we were just talking about signs of like how beautiful of it and strong of like, no doubt that is her mom and dad being like, we're okay, we're together. And and then I was telling one of my other good friends about this and she goes, oh yeah, she goes, did you know I think what you're talking about, Joy, is mourning doves? Because I didn't know that it was MOURN doves. Like I thought it was just mourning, like the morning, because you hear it your whole life. But then I was like, oh, you got to be fucking kidding me. It's a mourning dove. And she's like, yeah, it's a mourning dove. Like the sound is almost like it's a sad sound that they make. So I told Cindy that, my friend, and she didn't know that either. Like growing up our whole lives. Anyway, it was just like mind blowing and beautiful. Like one of those moments where you're like, wow, life is so much bigger than us. And this was such a beautiful sign from beyond that was really, really special for her. So because she is so close to her parents, and how devastating this has been for her is, it's just hard. It's hard. So that was my cry. As you can tell, I'm still emotional about it.
Of course.
Just like sitting very close to that like life and death piece of life. That's just hard that we will all go through. And I've been listening a lot to Anderson Cooper's podcast again because he started a new season called All There Is. And it's just, they talk about grief. And I think sometimes I want to immerse myself in grief, or at least in like talking about it, because it scares me so much. So my way of coping with it is be like, go all in, because I'm terrified of losing my parents. Like I'm terrified. And so I think sometimes I look at her and I'm like, okay, I'm going to make it, because I think one of the big things about grief, and Chelsea, you're so close to this, is like the fear of, at least I know a lot of people talk about this, is like the fear that you're just going to like, that it's going to just drown you, like the grief. And I know a lot of listeners probably relate to this, is like, that's why so many people don't face it or turn to substances or turn to whatever for any hard things that happen in your life, because facing it feels like I will never recover from this, So I've been doing a little more like exposure therapy with myself of like, go all in, read the books, listen to people talking about grief, go there with grief, and not apologize. Like 5 times in the past 2 minutes I've been talking, I've been wanting to say sorry for crying, but I'm like, don't apologize for crying. Like you're crying and this is an emotion. So that's a note to everyone out there. Yeah, that's a note to everyone, because that's one thing in therapy. People come, whenever they start crying in therapy, they say sorry. And I want to normalize to everyone listening, like whenever you cry, whenever you have an emotion, remind yourself you don't need to apologize for anything.
Or you could do what I did with the rando strangers, where I just say,
yes,
well, that's what you get. It would be unhealthy for me to shove my emotions.
I love that you did that. So, my husband died. Here's what you get.
Yeah, I mean, and this is how it is. But, Joy, I want to say something on a serious note. When we love humans, their emotions are contagious. And when you have a friend who goes through grief, you might as well be going through it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your crying with your girlfriend is validating to your girlfriend. My girlfriend's just sitting and being with me in that. We talk about this in therapy, this holding space. It's a sacred space where two humans are humaning, and it's authentic and it's organic, and you are feeling everything the other person is feeling. And I think sometimes we minimize that. Like I've had a lot of loved ones who will say, well, I just can't imagine, or I don't know, but it's like they know. My girlfriends, including both of you, who walked through me walking Steve, my late husband, through death, you weren't exempt from my grief. You felt my grief. Your life was heavier because of my grief. Your life was harder because of my grief. And I think that if you're somebody who's supporting a friend who's going through something, I really want to shout it out that is the most beautiful, strongest gift you can give somebody, because that is not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing. It stirs up all of our own fears. It stirs up our own,
Totally.
oh my God, I don't want this to happen to my parents. It stirs up the trying to go into denial. I'm too young for that to ever happen to me. I mean, it stirs up your reality as well, because your heart is so open and loving and vulnerable that you're willing to go there. So if you're somebody who's being like a Joy, who is willing to go there with her girlfriend, or both Joy and Rebecca who did that with me, just know you're tender too. You're going to cry too. Those tears are going to be right at the surface too. You're going to choke on the grief, because grief is like strangulation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to normalize that. I don't want you to say, well, what am I now? It's about me. It's not. That's empathy. Mm-hmm. That's love. Mm-hmm. And love, just like grief, is contagious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. It's really, really true. And it does stir up a lot for everyone of like, okay, what you kind of mirror what, like I said, I project onto her, or like onto the situation of like, I'm going to go through this. None of us are exempt from the grief process, which is another thing that I love about Anderson Cooper's podcast around like, he always says like, anyone you meet, every single person has grieved or will grieve or will go through something horrible, that hopefully we can bring one another together instead of focusing on this division in our lives, or at least division in the world, of that we are all just very wounded and trying to work through it. So, but yeah, and at the same time, it's beautiful because, she's honoring her dad. We're sitting in the room that he stayed in and just kind of like laughing about the little weird quirks that he had, like scotch tape in like weird places that she's not going to move for a while. You know what I mean? Like little weird quirky things that we get to laugh about and just, honor him and remember him. And that's always a beautiful piece too. But moving on to a very quick laugh. There have been many laugh cry moments in the past week, especially, but a really cute, fun little laugh that happened on the airplane when I was flying to Phoenix is I recently got, this will surprise no one, I got my new Taylor Swift sweatshirt in the mail last week. It was like a Christmas present to myself. And it's really cute. It's like this like baby blue. It's from the 1989 era, and it has like these red sequin lips all over it. So it's like really fun. And I just got it in the mail minutes before I left to the airport. So I like put it on. I was like, this is what I'm wearing. And when I got to the airport, when I tell you I got about 5 compliments on that stupid sweatshirt, literally before I got through security, I was like, oh my gosh. And no one knew it was a Taylor Swift sweatshirt, but it just, the lips and the cute sequins, like the glittery lips all over it it is very cute. So anyway, so I'm kind of laughing about, like, I joke in good fun that I'm 48, like a huge Taylor Swift fan, Swiftie, wearing Swiftie merch in an airport. But I sit on the plane and the flight attendant is, serving me a drink or whatever, snacks. And she goes, oh my gosh, I love your sweatshirt. And the sweatshirt also has a lyric on the left-hand side of the chest of the sweatshirt that unless you're a Swiftie, you don't know what it says, right? It's a lyric. And she goes, oh my gosh, I love your sweatshirt. What does it say? And I looked at her and I was like, it's a Taylor Swift lyric. She goes, oh, we love Taylor. And so we just started laughing because I was so embarrassed because it's not some like, profound spiritual saying. It's literally a Taylor Swift lyric, but it was so funny because we just started laughing because I was like, she could tell I was so embarrassed. So that was my laugh. Okay, moving on. I'm going to pass it off to Rebecca.
Wow. Thanks so much for sharing all that, Joy. I really appreciate your vulnerability. And yeah, you too, Chelsea, for sharing. Is there like some glitch going on in the universe? That's my question to the audience, because this is it's like a laugh cry combo that I feel like all of my electronics are glitching out on me.
Ooh.
Like apps are glitching out.
Yeah.
Chelsea's laughing.
I know there was like a recent
what the
moon
fuck is
situation,
happening?
full moon. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I kept saying it's because I got a new phone, but I found a message yesterday that was sent to me like 2 weeks ago. Lindsay, if you're listening, that was your message. And I'm like, where was this? And then I'm finding these emails that I'm like, I never saw. I feel like, yes, I recorded a video the other day for TikTok, and then half of the sound was out.
Yeah.
Yes.
TikTok glitched. I'm sure everyone knows this, but like TikTok was glitching. Yeah.
I feel like it's been glitching for about a week, and it's really annoying me because I tried to work really hard on some videos, but that's glitching. Other apps of mine are glitching. My email. Yesterday I was looking at my email, and then all of a sudden this email that I really needed disappears. It's not in my junk mail. It's not in my spam. I swear I didn't click anything, and the next thing I know, it's like in an archived folder. Weird. Like my auto, the auto correction text or whatever it's called. Mm-hmm. It's giving me the strangest shit. It's like not even the word. And so I had read, or I guess I was listening to like an Oprah podcast.
Oh, it was the one. It was the one I posted.
I forget her name. She's the psychic medium or whatnot, and she was talking about a lot of times others will communicate with you by glitching your shit out. And if you pay attention, like your auto text on the things that are being Laura Lynn Jackson is her name. It's like some message like that they want you to see. It's just so bizarre. I mean, it's nice because I've actually asked for a lot of signs recently. Since I've been really missing Ruby. I found a picture recently that I know I had, but it was under a bed for some reason, but it was a picture of my grandma and my late grandma and my late cousin together. And I'm just like, they were just hugging each other. And I'm like, oh my gosh, where has this been? Like, this is so beautiful. And like, I was at fucking Costco the other day. And for some reason I decided to use self-check. I don't know. Has anybody used self-check at Costco?
Yeah.
Because it has that little weighted bullshit.
Yes.
So I've never used it before. And just scanning, we're there, and putting something on there. It's like, you have to remove this item and please scan the item. I'm like, I just fucking scanned this item. And so I was taking it out and Robin's like, you're doing it too fast. And I'm like, well, how slow do I need to be? And I'm like doing like over exaggerated movement, like, because I was kind of getting
You're getting frustrated. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, and then it's to put toilet paper on there and just all kinds of other shit. And I'm like, it wasn't working. And the lady had to keep coming over to fix the register and be like, oh, that didn't scan. And I'm like, I fucking scanned it. Finally, I think she just got fed up with us. She's like, here, I'll just scan these things.
She just used her little scanner gun and was like, I'll take care of this.
I'm like, but anytime I scanned it and just put it in my cart, like say it was like, a case of Red Bull, I didn't want to put that up there. It was telling me I needed to put it on the damn thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
but she didn't. So I'm like, it was my laugh cry. Like, it was freaking ridiculous, and everything is glitching out, and it's very bizarre.
Like, what's wrong with this lady? You're like, it's okay. I'm just having signs from the universe right now. So yeah,
it's a lot of electronic stuff going on.
Rebecca, I had this. I've had this at Target and at Walmart. And you know what I said to the person? I was not trained to do this job.
Yeah.
I was so fucking annoyed because I was trying to grab last minute stuff, and then it just kept going like, it kept dinging. It kept saying assistant coming over. And then finally I look at the assistant and I'm like, I was not trained properly to do this job. And I need help. Yeah, I need you to just do this because I'm done. Like,
what the fuck? It's so bizarre.
Ew.
Yeah. And then real brief, a big cry of mine was we received 2 like sympathy cards, one from the emergency vet and one from our regular vet for Ruby, who was my dog that passed away a few weeks ago, on the same freaking day.
God.
And I'm just like,
That's
oh,
Ruby.
sweet. They say cars. And then it's like such a heartbreaker to be like, every single person at the emergency vet, like there's like 6 doctors that work there on different shifts. I've never met. They all signed it. The tech person, I could tell, she wrote a little note on there and little paw prints, like that basically took Ruby's, because we were there, obviously Ruby had passed, we were with her, and she's like, do you want to leave while I do paw prints of her? And we're like, no, we'll stay. And she's like, generally people want to leave. So, and she was just thought, I was helping her with Ruby's paw and doing the paw print, and then she did a nose print, and she was, I could tell that was her message to us because she was right there with us and like cutting her fur and things like that for us to have as a keepsake. And then reading the messages from my vet office, from the text, my vet didn't say much. She's not a woman of many words. She's super professional and smart. But all these texts wrote these little messages about Ruby and how special she was. And I'm like, oh my God, it just was like so overwhelming. Like how much of an impact she made on people's lives. Like
that means the world.
Yeah. Because we're freaking up there all the time because all of our dogs are seniors. It's like a senior citizen living home for geriatric dogs. And they're super expensive, by the way.
Yeah.
But, it just, I don't know. It was really hard. It was hard, but beautiful at the same time. So,
and that's the contagion of, I always say it's counterintuitive. I had this with Steve when I left the hospital, of feeling like these people had been the witness, like to the most traumatic, horrible time. And they are professionals, but my God, the validation of them loving your family, there's nothing like that, because they're, kind of strangers that become your weird family, but they're just your family for this really brief amount of time.
So
and
intense.
then you think about, they show up every day doing this caregiving, taking care of people's pets, putting people's pets down, taking care of humans, doing whatever it is. And then they took time out of their day to buy a card, to write in a card, to dig up their own feelings of sadness for you.
Yeah.
And to send it, Rebecca.
It means so much.
So much.
And I just want to give a shout out to all the vet techs, any healthcare provider that is involved in that type of care, because it really means the world.
From my vet's office, there were like probably 25 signatures and messages on there about it. And I'm like, that's amazing for people to, to take the time to do that and even write a little personal message. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even after, this happened, like my vet called me, like a day after, and said, I got the report from the emergency vet and I wanted to call you and say, like, I am as shocked as you are. And she had just seen her that day. And like, she really talked me through it, because I was telling her like how upsetting the whole thing was and how it occurred. And she just really held space for me, like it was a 20-minute phone call on her lunch break that she took to talk me through everything that I did and that we could have done. And just, that's just an amazing thing to give people.
It's like that kindness of strangers. It's not necessarily a stranger, but the compassion behind an act like that feels so tender. It's like what you were saying to Chelsea. And when I was in Arizona, Cindy got a call from the hospice nurse that was like the lead hospice nurse. They did not have a long relationship because he passed pretty quickly after entering hospice. But she called her the next day and was like talking to her for a half hour, checking in. How you doing? Called her again the next day. And just people like that, I just truly feel are like walking angels on this earth.
Yeah. Chelsea, how about you?
Okay, well, pivoting out of grief and into Christmas. Okay, well, I'm backing up. I was in a funk after coming home from California. The holidays have been hard. Grief has been brutal. I gave myself 3 days to lay in bed and do nothing. Nothing. Getting out of bed was really hard. Taking next steps has been really hard. And, I had 18 years of holidays with Steve, my late husband, and it's devastating. it is devastating. Every single thing reminds you that your loved one's not here. The house lights outside that Miles, my son, put up remind me that Steve didn't help put them up with him. The Christmas tree, the little arts and crafts that I normally buy 4 of, and now I'm just buying 3. Every single thing during the holidays is a highlight of my life is so different now. And so that has been brutal. That has been painful. And to keep myself from going into a depressive episode, which I have a history of major depressive disorder, but I have not gone in a depressive episode in years because I do what I recommend to my clients, which I give myself an intentional break, and then I have to get up and take the next right step. And it's hard. It is so hard. I mean, I haven't physically been in the gym, but I am like, okay, 20 minutes of lifting weights at home, 10 minutes in the bath while you're listening to a self-help book. Like, turn on your meditation when you're going to sleep. You aren't actually meditating. You're just listening to it in the background. So these are things that I teach clients, and these are things that I also do for myself. So my buddy, that's been a lot of my cries. And my buddy, one of my dear friends here who I love, shout out to Mike, who I adore. He was going to a Christmas party for his personal trainer at the gym was having a party for all the clients he trains. And I was like, yeah, he's like, do you want to go? And I'm like, yes. I'm like the greatest wing woman ever. Okay. I'm a great wing woman.
See that.
I love women.
See that. Yeah.
I love women way more than men. My friends who I love who are men, like I adore, I'm in. So we decide that we're going to go to this Christmas. I am like, yeah, fuck yes, I'm in. So I'm like getting like the scoop. Who's who, what's what, who am I looking out for? Like I'm all decided. I'm all in. What some of you may or may not know about me is sometimes I eat psychedelic mushrooms.
I don't think we've ever addressed that on the podcast.
Okay, sometimes I do. It's a thing I've done for actually since I was a kid, and I believe in the brain benefits and that it's a healthy reset. And this is just, I don't know if this is your thing. I'm not making suggestions to anybody. This is a thing I do sometimes.
Right. Not medical advice. It's just you're just disclosing this for something you like to do.
For a laugh, for my laugh story. So we go to this party, and all of a sudden I'm seeing, like, making sense of who's who. I don't want to go too much into it, but there's a backstory of like somebody who's not supposed to be eating candy because they're trying to lose weight because of this, and this, who's like a little hot ass, by the way. And they get they call it a dirty Santa, which is like the candy. I have like candy, and I watched the face drop. And I couldn't stop laughing. You know how you're like in church and you're not supposed to laugh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So throw in the mushrooms and this. And so my buddy and I are sitting on the couch, curled up together. Great wing woman, by the way. It looks like he's like my boyfriend.
Right.
We are curled up together, and I'm like looking at him, and he's looking at me, and we're reading each other's eyeballs, and we are crying, laughing. And I'm like, I want to say the thing because I know the story behind this whole thing. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, hold it together. And I was holding it together great because I'm like a microdoser. I'm not like a macro. I'm like a little bit of, I guess, I don't know, if you had a buzz with drinks. I'm like that. Like I can function. I couldn't stop. So we're on the couch. We're curled up together. Then he gets his dirty Santa present, and it's a horse like smacker trainer. I don't know. Oh yeah,
like a whip type of thing almost.
Which all I'm seeing is dominatrix.
Yeah,
and then
that's what I think of. It's like
Tom thing.
Yeah, and then he gets a cattle prod thing.
What?
Yeah, because it's a dirty. It's like joke gift.
Yeah.
But then everyone's looking at us because he gets this, and now we look like perverts because I'm just like looking at that thing. Then I like zap him. Like full on shit shows. And then I'm like, we've got to get out of here. So we're waiting for this game to end. And I'm like, we've got to get out. This house is this beautiful, gorgeous home, beautiful home. But the way that we came in to walk out, there was so many people. And I'm like, I couldn't face anybody. At this point, I was so hysterical. I was laughing so hard. I had no words left. So I'm like, we've got to go. So I'm this big house. I'm like, oh my God, there's a front door. We could sneak out the front door. So I run over to the front door, and I'm trying to open it, and I'm like, oh my God, it's locked. we're stuck in here. And he looks at me, my buddy, and he's like, it's locked. And I'm like, yeah. And he just opens it. It wasn't locked. I was just fucked up. Well, we trot out together and escaped. Anyways, that night went on and on. We had so many laughs, but it was
so cute.
I was like, I am the worst wing woman in history. Now everybody thinks I'm like your girlfriend or your like rando sex partner with these weird cattle prods and whips. Like, I ruined the whole. I mean, I think I enhanced it because I made fun.
Say, you probably,
but I did not.
Situation.
I was not the wing woman that I had signed up for. And then to top it off, I wore this stupid headband that was like a Christmas headband with this big bow that was giving me such a headache that I had to take it off. So then I just had like, that helmet head.
Yes, yes.
Anyways, yeah, that was my little reset going back into the world. And yeah.
And how are you doing now?
Oh,
I'm doing a lot better. I think I really needed to have fun. I really needed the brain benefits. Again, speaking for myself only, I'm not giving medical advice, but for me, it gives me really good brain benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day, it was like a breakthrough of I was like, okay, I started journaling again. I actually meditated again. I just signed up for this course that I'm taking. Like career stuff is starting to click up. And so it gave me this, for me, it's like I get these breakthroughs, and breakthroughs will come from having fun, having adventures, connecting with other humans, doing stuff that I wouldn't normally do, taking brain supplements.
Well, this has been a joyful and difficult and human experience of our laughs and our cries, which I always appreciate. This week, we are talking about change, which I think is very timely because it's almost January 1st, the time of the year when everyone likes to do resolutions. We like to change. We like to do self-improvement. So I love this topic. I love talking about change because I'm still kind of in the mode of learning of, why it's so hard for us to change, why some habits stick, why some habits don't. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And I'm going to have Rebecca kick us off.
Yeah, gosh, what a big topic. So we're going to try to kind of break this down for you all to make it easier. And I think probably I was thinking about what is the biggest question people have? And it's like, I think it is, why is change so hard for me? Because we always have such a hard time with it.
Big change, little change.
Yep. Yes, but it's like, it is hard. And I think the biggest thing is that it really comes down to how our brains are wired. It's not that you're bad at it or somebody's just really great at it. It's just our brains are all wired for safety and familiar things, right? And so our brain's always like watching, hey, I got to watch out for you. Make sure you're safe. You don't burn yourself. You don't run into traffic, or you don't suffer a devastating breakup from somebody. It's like always trying to keep you really safe. I think that's kind of the big thing. The other part of this is that change brings up fear for us, right? Because our brain is trying to keep us safe. And then it just gets into this loop of fear. Because if you think about habits in your life, fear is always present for you. I bet you could ask yourself right now, do I live with fear? And you will say yes, because there's some sort of fear that's coming up. But essentially, your nervous system is perceiving threats out there, and change is a threat because it's changing from what's familiar to you. It's trying to take you away from what you think is safe, and then it gets scary, and that's why it's so hard for us, because our brains don't want to do that. We want to stay where we're at.
I'm going to shortcut it. We're wired for survival.
Yeah.
So you have to think, if you're wired for survival, your brain goes to predictability, and predictability gives us the illusion that we are safe. So when we're in the change, the brain's flipping out, and it's going to want to work against you to go back to what's familiar, because that is the old caveman brain that's in survival mode. That brain hasn't changed. Just because we're in the year 2025 doesn't mean that we don't have that same brain from thousands of years ago.
Well, and we've talked about this plenty of times on the podcast. that our brain is lazy. It's one of my favorite sayings that we've talked about, Chelsea. It's like the brain is lazy. And I tell myself that all the time when it kind of like is trying to push against any change or any of like the negative thoughts that I've mentioned before of like, hey, you have to work extra hard if you want to change this behavior. Now, this could go with even just changing your thought pattern, getting rid of negative thoughts, but your brain really wants to conserve energy. So change is uncertainty, which means more cognitive load. And so our default mode is like, do what you've always done because it costs fewer calories. And so just to want to normalize that and reiterate that to everyone, because it's not that you lack discipline. If we all could just like have discipline, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But we are literally fighting against a system that is like set up to conserve energy. And I love neuroscience. There's a specific neuroscience I've referenced here before, neuroscience professor that I listened to, and his talk was so helpful, where he was basically like, just remind yourself that everything that you do, like brushing your teeth or doing your workouts in the morning, anything that you maybe already have a pattern of doing, it's patterned, and you don't have to think about picking up a toothbrush and brushing your teeth. You don't have to like fight against that act of brushing your teeth or flipping on the light switch in your room or knowing like, what cup to pick out of your cabinet. All of that is already there. It's second nature. It costs 0 calories for you to do that. So keep that in mind when you're going throughout your routine throughout the day of everything that you do that costs 0 calories with your brain is already set up as a pattern. So you're capable of doing that. You're capable of making something effortless. It's just getting to the place of like teaching your brain how to wire to where it does eventually become effortless. But it's so funny how we just resist that change because the initial setting it up, it's almost like I used to do CrossFit and we'd start every class with having a lacrosse ball, or you could take a tennis ball, you could take whatever, and bounce it against the wall with your non-dominant hand. This is a great example to do this like in your life with anything really, if you want to just like write a sentence with your left hand. But the lacrosse ball activity was really helpful because you just bounce it against the wall, and eventually in a few minutes you actually get better at it. You like all of a sudden, like the first few times you're like, oh, this feels really weird, but pretty quickly you start to get the rhythm of like doing that with your non-dominant hand. So I just want this discussion to be more around like education, because when we're looking at these changes and the self-growth or anything that you're really looking at to make that change, to recognize that you are kind of going up that uphill battle for a while.
So the recap, Rebecca talked about, it's being hard for the brain to want to do that because of safety. And then we talk about the hard wiring and sort of the caveman brain wired for survival. And then Joy, you're talking about, how these little sort of habits, it's the repeating of doing it kind of over and over again. Because I think about little kids when you're trying to get them on a routine, and brushing their teeth is hard. My son is 16. He still sucks at brushing his teeth. That's like a hard part. Like his brain is lazy as fuck with it, and it drives me crazy. But I think about this and when you're starting to think, why can't I get motivation? You can say, because it feels unsafe, because my brain's a caveman brain and I'm in survival, because it's a new thing that I haven't done and I have to start doing it over and over and over again. That's a great kind of starting point I like to think about with clients is its insight, which is why I love therapy. We get the insight, which gives us the pause to go the aha. And now we have a behavior, which I like to say with clients and with myself, behaviors are just like a little 5-minute change. We just can start with 5 minutes.
Like micro changes, yeah.
Yes, because the micro changes build the momentum. And to Rebecca's point, it's less scary to the brain. It feels a little bit safer, a little bit of more low risk. Joy, to your point, it's starting to get you in that habit, like a little toe in, like, oh, I can throw with my left hand.
Yeah.
You're breaking it up. We have to create some flexibility. Anyways, I just wanted to recap those because there's so much wealth in what everybody shared that I feel like really shining a light on that helps us to organize insight. Now I have an opportunity for behavior change.
I also want to bring up some research about reinforcement. Humans really overvalue immediate rewards. and then it also undervalues long-term. So if you think about it, we love those quick dopamine hits. We love the old habits we get dopamine right now. New habits is like dopamine. It's going to take a while to get that dopamine hit, which is why I think social media is so addictive, because you're constantly getting these hits. So when someone's like, I want to cut down on my social media, it's like, where am I going to get my dopamine? So I think like the brain really doesn't like the later. I say this a lot in therapy too, is we do things that are working for us, even if it's not good for us. So you really have to kind of evaluate. Sometimes it's like, okay, well, I'm getting dopamine from this. I really like it. I'm like, yeah, but maybe drinking this many drinks a night is not like the greatest way to get this dopamine. Like that's another avenue we could go down as far as like, are you really getting something that is healthy for you? Is this goal healthy for you? Or is this something that you're like getting that artificial dopamine? So that's kind of also like, I think why motivation dies is the reward signal for a new behavior is too weak, and then people crash out. Well, like resolutions or maybe goals that you're like, after a month, you're like, I'm not seeing the payoff of this.
Joy, I think also you're kind of talking about this willpower. People think I have to have willpower to make a change. And, this, I would say, has anybody heard of habit stacking? So habit stacking would be...
So good.
Right. It's similar, like when you're talking about brushing your teeth, like what else would you be doing before brushing your teeth? Maybe you're getting your PJs on for a kid. So it's like, so basically you take a habit that you're already doing and you're doing it really well, then you just start adding other habits, like certain things that you want to start doing. And instead of relying on willpower to do these things, it basically leverages your automatic behaviors that you already have in place. So it's like, let's use your brain to work for you, because it's already got what it needs to start moving forward and to make these changes, instead of like relying on this willpower. I hear willpower stuff all the time, and it gets connected into motivation too. They're not the same thing. And honestly, I would prefer us just throw willpower out, because like willing something to be or to do is, I feel like, nearly impossible in a way.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. And this kind of brings up...
White-knuckling it.
White-knuckling
Yes.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Which Gen Xers were taught
We're real
to
good
do.
at that. But I think the point that you're making too, Rebecca, is something that's really fresh in my brain, because I just finished the coaching certificate. So now I'm a health coach, a mental health coach.
Yes, you are.
Hold on. Hooray! Joy, Rebecca, and I are all certified mental
behavioral health coaches.
Yeah,
yes.
mental health and wellness coaches. So we've all done coaching before, but we actually are formal now.
Formal.
All three of us.
Licensed therapists
VVIP.
and mental health coaches, VVIP. But we talk a lot about motivational interviewing in coaching. What the heck is that? It's basically helping someone really pull that intrinsic motivation, that motivation that is within yourself, versus someone outside telling you what to do. You're not going to do it. Immediately, if someone says, Joy, I want you to go run 5 miles, do it. I'll be like, why?
Because I asked you
but
to.
Actually, the also competitive part of me and be like, I'll do it, and I'll do it the fucking best you've ever seen.
You would. You would.
Yeah, I was just
like, that's a bad example.
Me too.
It's a bad example.
Okay, Rebecca, I agree. I was looking over at Rebecca in my Zoom box or whatever this is online, and I was like, yeah, right. Joy
You
would
get
be
what
like,
I'm saying.
challenge accepted. Bitches.
You get what I'm saying.
And be cute with pink lipstick
Actually,
and a headband in and like a sweat warmer. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to do
like
6 just because I can.
I'm actually just going to go run 10. And you know what? I'm going to do a marathon. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
but
you get
the
what I'm saying.
motivational interview would be that you found a strength that Joy already has, and you connect her own internal value of being healthy, of her competitive nature. And that's where you're getting the motivation from. That's how that connects.
So that connects. And I gave a bad example as far as like intrinsic versus extrinsic, but you get what I'm saying is like intrinsic is like, I already have that desire. I already have that strength. So I am going to be someone who uses that more of like an intrinsic motivation. But the whole point is like when we're thinking of goals and when we're thinking of change is you want to get to the point of drawing that out instead of telling someone that you should do A, B, and C, because that may not be connected to them. So to kind of draw on this and to wrap this up too is, if you're, and we can talk more about this as we're kind of ending the year and resolutions and change and bringing this type of growth in our lives, is what's the value and why? Why do you want to do this? Because if you're not personally tied. So anytime you're trying to make this change, think about why, what value, why is this important to you?
And I want to add, when I used to work with addiction and supervise in rehabs, I would teach the interns, I supervise a lot of interns, I would say people change out of pain or they change out of pleasure. So when somebody's getting clean and they would go into rehab and that's a pain, right? The family did an intervention, they lost their job, they got a DUI, whatever. If we don't start to find pleasure at some point, we will default into what's familiar. So that's where that kind of like what drives me is a great motivator of like, if I can look back and say, I used to love being sober and like going to work every day and crushing it in my business. I remember when my bank account was full of money. That was amazing. I remember when I took this vacation, like we can start pulling from your own life of things you've already done to remind you who you are and that this is possible. And if you've never done it before, look at somebody else who's doing what you want to be doing. And if they're doing it and they're a human, you can at least try and do some of it. That's what I think. I rather change out of pleasure, by the way, but pain happens because we're humans. And so when your life explodes, I always say that's an opportunity to really start evaluating where do I want to be? Okay, so this was a great discussion. Joy and Rebecca always love having these conversations, these meaningful conversations. If you're a listener, I hope this helps you. Next week, we've got a doozy. This is for the individuals who get into the family dynamic that they don't want to be in, and all of a sudden you revert to that little kid or that mouthy teenager, or you just like start throwing shit when you were like, I'm not going to get involved in the shit this year. We're going to talk about where we get vulnerable with the familiar habits, family dynamics, and how around this time of year, those vulnerabilities can really come up to the forefront. So if this is you or a friend, make sure you tune in next week before Christmas. And as always, thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. And you can find us on all social media platforms at Laugh Cry Club, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Email us laughcryclub@gmail.com. We're so grateful that you spend your time with us. We do not take that for granted. If you like the show, please leave a rating and review. That's the best way to support our podcast. Leave a rating and review, and also you can share it with a friend if you feel like this has been worth your time and you think it would be helpful to someone else. So appreciate the support, and we will see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
That's life, baby.